I want everybody to understand that they're actually an environmentalist, but they just need to connect to the earth to understand that they are. And if they don't understand that they are connected by, you know, by lifestyle, I really believe that our ability to understand the earth and the connection to the earth is to slow down enough so that you understand that what you're doing is it's a part of a bigger picture.
Thank you so much for making the time with us today. Appreciate
Oh,
it.
I'm so thrilled to be here. It's fun.
Could you just tell me what brings you to North Texas today?
North Texas. Actually, brought me here is EarthX, which is this amazing. It's Earth Day tomorrow, so it's a big day for those of us that care about the planet. So,
And I've been struck by the way you say that the environmental, health of the planet and our mental health and our physical health are really part of the conversation, like the same conversation. For someone hearing that for the first time, what do you mean?
well, I think that people kind of compartmentalize what the environment means and what like living your life, living a healthy life, and all that stuff. And the truth is, it's very similar. I do a lot of talking about mental health. And there's this disconnect. We think our head is not connected to our body. And in the same way, we don't think that we're a part of nature. And it sounds very simplistic, but we are animals at the end of the day, and our connection to the earth really is what keeps us grounded, healthy, and really enhances our well-being. So so this the idea that you are part of the earth and taking time to really be connected to that is a huge part of what I think that environmentalism has become this thing. Oh, those people over there, they're all very, they're super liberal and whatever. And it's like, I'm not political at all. I just think that it has nothing to do with whether you're liberal or conservative. It's about you are a human on this planet and you need to connect to the earth because it's going to heal you and it's going to help you survive. And it's also going to help your brain work better. Your body's going to work better. All of these things are interconnected. I don't see a difference between how we think, where we go to work, how we wake up in the morning. All of these things like are so important to, I don't know, I think the future of the planet. But we have to take care of ourselves first, right? We have to kind of compartmentalize and understand that we are connected. But you have to do that by, taking time in silence every day, being still, drinking water, listening to the sounds of what's going on outside. Breathe. Most people don't breathe. There you go.
Yeah. Where did your journey towards being an advocate for the planet start?
Well, I grew up in Sun Valley, Idaho, which is a ski resort. It's beautiful. We moved there when I was 4 years old, which was 1965. Wow. And we moved there, and it's gorgeous, right? It's in the mountains. It's in the Sawtooth Mountains, and my family, I love them, but they were a little bit dysfunctional, and we had a house that was a little rough at times. And going outside, being in nature was my solace. It was my savior. So that was just a huge part of who I became. And it protected me. So and I think when my dad was a conservationist, my grandfather really understood the outdoors. People wouldn't say that he was a conservationist, but he lived in the, 30s, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever. I don't think that had been invented quite yet, right? But he really understood the outdoors. He spent a lot of time in Idaho, and my dad just was this great human being who really the outdoors meant so much to him. And I know that it protected his brain and his ability to function in a world, being Ernest Hemingway's son wasn't probably the easiest thing, especially when you decide you're going to be a writer, which
Yes.
I don't know if that was the best choice.
And so EarthX brings together, policymakers, scientists, CEOs, and where do you think your perspective fits in that conversation?
You know, look, it's bringing in scientists and CEOs, and I think honestly, where I come in the conversation is, look, everything that you're saying from a scientific perspective is absolutely fantastic, and we need it. But I'm coming from a place of I want everybody to understand that they're actually an environmentalist, but they just need to connect to the earth to understand that they are. And if they don't understand that they are connected by, by lifestyle, I really believe that our ability to understand the earth and the connection to the earth is to slow down enough so that you understand that what you're doing is it's a part of a bigger picture. But like I said before, if we don't take care of ourselves in that way where you're connecting with nature, then you won't understand. Because I say to people, look, take your shoes off, go walk in your grass in the yard, or go on a beach, walk barefoot for 20 minutes and tell me how you feel. Be quiet, be still. Don't put headphones on. I mean, there's a time for that, but there's also a time to do nothing but feel the environment that you live in. Once you start having that connection, you can't deny that the earth is our teacher. I really think it's our biggest teacher.
A lot of people, especially young people, feel a sense of grief about this subject matter, about the environment and climate change. And you've got therapists creating the terms eco-anxiety. And as somebody who has spent a significant amount of your life sitting with this sort of difficult feelings and experiences, what do you say to someone who just feels paralyzed about all of this?
Well, first of all, I would say quit looking at all the things that catastrophize the earth. There's a lot of really rough things going on the planet, right? In our country, whatever. But if you focus on what is bad and you focus on what you don't want, your mind keeps going on the things you don't want and you create more of what you don't want. If you focus on what you want and the feelings that you'd like to have, instead of focusing on all the bad things, eco-anxiety, we're scared, we're nervous, we don't know what to do, our hands are tied. Don't do that. I mean, literally, we live in a very highly technical, society now, and we look at social media and we do all these things. Focus on what you can do. And focus on yourself. It sounds like kind of self-absorbed, but when you focus on that ability to get quiet and still, and you got to limit that amount of information that you're getting. We are so inundated by information. I mean, it's great. What an amazing, we have the ability to do a podcast and talk, and it's going to go out to millions of people or whatever. But if we don't slow it down and put limits on how much information we're getting, we're never going to get in touch with ourselves. So my advice to anybody is to just, slow it down. Don't listen to everything bad, because the more bad that you listen to, the more bad comes to you, right? I mean, it's like an algorithm. If you keep looking at all the dark and horrible things that come at you, and I'm not saying don't pay attention or don't do anything. I'm saying we have to understand that as just regular laymen in the world, our self-awareness of ourself, our family, the environment that's around us, how is your house working, all these things, just do what you can do in your little space. Because you can do something there. And actually, that has a ripple effect. That means, it grows. That's energy. And I mean, we're coming up to a time where, medicine will be energy medicine. I mean, things are changing, and they're changing fast for many good reasons. But focusing on what you can do rather than what you can't do, and then the overwhelm of what you can't do, it just doesn't work.
It's very inspiring. How have you seen the conversation around environmentalism or wellness shift in your time as an advocate?
I think, in many ways, it's so extreme right now, right? There's the people that are all for the environment and all for this, and it really has become two camps, and it's almost, and it's been politicized in a way. And I think we need to like get rid of that. And that, I mean, I guess it always was. It's just, I just think because we have so much information, we don't know how to like just pull back. And that is within our purview. We can decide to like, I will go here, but I'm not going to go there. And when we decide to do that, but back to your question, I think when we were, I don't know, gosh, in the 80s, I don't know, it doesn't matter what time you're in. I think there's always a challenge, right? I mean, Earth Day started in the 70s. Like, who knew? I mean, I might have known, but you didn't know. You weren't even born. So,
Or thought of. Yeah, yeah.
But, I just think that we have to get back to what the idea that, look, take care of you, bring it back, bring it to your center. Because I think what's happening is, I think we really have to understand that it's lifestyle. It's also a spiritual belief. I know that's crazy, but last night there was a banquet and for Earth-X, and the man that kind of did the blessing on all of it. He was so beautiful about talking about perception and perspective. And perception kind of is this thing where we perceive through, I mean, in this world, the algorithm that we're watching, right? We're perceiving that everything is going down. But when we pull back, and he was talking about the earth and the Artemis thing, and how everybody that went up like came back with this perspective. They could see the earth from like when you can see that, and it's this
Yeah, those
beautiful
images are
green
beautiful.
Yeah, it's just wow. I mean, it gives me chills. And perspective does something to you. It broadens the way that you think about the world. It broadens your capacity to feel good about things. It opens your eyes to what really is going on. That's perspective. Perception is small. It's small. It can be angry. It can be whatever, you are locked in. So it's really about just how can we get back to broadening our horizon.
Absolutely. And my last question is really aimed at towards young people, who we're giving the planet to. How would you invite them into this conversation and invite them to really become active in this discourse, and not just with ideas, but in practice? How would you invite them?
My it's such a big question. I have two daughters in their 30s. I also have a granddaughter. And for me, my whole thing is how do you wake up in the morning? Like change a little part of your lifestyle. Just a little bit. Like wake up quietly, learn how to breathe. When you start changing small things in your life that you can do, that you have say over, you have power to change, those things will actually invite you to be more aware of what's going on on the planet. And I think the hardest thing for young people, and we're giving the earth to them, is that technology has kind of overwhelmed a great deal of our society. And as much as I, again, say I love it, we just have to put limits on it. And I think for parenting, parenting has to be like, look, there's got to be some guardrails here. We got to get back to understanding that play and joy is a good, it's a great thing. Being bored in nature is actually a wonderful tool. It's a wonderful educator. So, yeah, did I answer it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And you inspired one last question. I promise this is the last one.
No,
Is
you're good.
you've devoted so much of your life to advocacy. And what does that do for you to be an advocate, for others?
I guess um I guess when you have information, like I do a thing with women, I do something called Return of the Queen because I feel like, oh my gosh, I did so many crazy things in my life. Like I learned from all of them. I've followed gurus. I've been here. I've been in sweat lodges. I've done all kinds of things all over the planet, all which were great. But I realized that I was reaching out, reaching out, reaching out. And I wanted to be able to say to I'm doing it for women only because I am a woman and it seems easier to do it with this, with the how I identify in the world. But I wanted to give them the gift of like, look, you don't have it. We need to make it less complicated. And I think advocacy comes from a desire to share that, oh my gosh, I know this works. So I'm not trying to be a doctor or a guru or anybody's anything. I just want to say, look, it's not as hard as we think it is. Because I spent years doing it hard. But I kept thinking that there was somebody outside myself that was going to be the big teacher in my life. And then I realized it was me. I was my best teacher. I was my best guru. I was my best environmentalist. I was my best cook and chef and trainer. Doesn't mean we don't need help. It just means that we have to start trusting that there's an intuition, which, by the way, is connected to the earth. There's an intuition inside of us that is always teaching us and guiding us which direction to go. So,
Great. Well,
there you
thank you
go.
so much for spending
Thank
some time
you.
with us.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for the interesting questions.